When Ethan and I were called to the teacher's office, the two children were standing against the wall, both with bruises on their faces. He spoke first, "Long time no see." I politely responded, "Long time no see." The teacher's words drifted lightly by, and then we each took our children. I turned right with my daughter. He turned left with his son. This was our first meeting 6 years after the divorce. When I received the call, I was patrolling the construction site. The roar of the excavator couldn't drown out Teacher Grace's penetrating voice. My daughter had gotten into a fight at school. And it was with the son of a school board member. When I rushed to the school, the other parent had already arrived. Dressed in a suit, standing tall and straight, with an elegant and refined back view. I glanced down at my mud-caked shoes and the jeans torn by a nail during patrol. I secretly regretted it. If only I had known to change into something more presentable. Teacher Grace saw me and waved. The other person turned around at the sound. Someone I thought I'd never cross paths with in this life. At this moment, we met unexpectedly. "Long time no see." I politely responded. "Long time no see." Teacher Grace let out a long sigh of relief. The two kids had a little disagreement. "Since you and Ethan know each other, why not resolve it privately?" As soon as we left the teaching building, my daughter told me that Max, relying on his dad being an investor in the school, often bullied classmates at school. I softly asked, "Did he bully you?" My daughter paused. "He said I was a bastard, a kid without a dad. I couldn't stand it and fought with him." I paused and gave her a thumbs up. "Well done." Ethan dragged Max over, chasing after us. He pressed Max's head down, making him apologize to my daughter. A coquettish and sharp voice cut through. "Why should my son apologize?" Sophie hurried over in high heels, her face flushed with anger. Now, she had completely transformed. Covered in designer brands, she was no longer the awkward girl from back then. Seeing me, she was stunned for a moment. "I've asked the teacher about this. Our Max was just chatting normally with classmates. It was this little girl who suddenly rushed over and pushed him." She looked up at Ethan. "If anyone should apologize, it should be her to our son." My daughter shook off my hand and also looked at Ethan. "He said I was a bastard, without a dad. That's why." I pushed him. Ethan's eyes flickered across from us. "Tina, who said you don't have a dad?" A calm voice sounded in my ear, while holding my slightly trembling hand. The warmth from the broad palm brought an inexplicable sense of security. "Dad." My daughter towards Lucas, who picked her up in one swoop. "I've just been busy with work lately, no time to come to school." I didn't know my daughter had inexplicably gained the label of no dad. The silence made time stretch long. Ethan looked at me and slowly said, "Today's incident was our fault. I'll educate him properly when we get back." I nodded. I pushed Lucas and my daughter into the car. "Tina, just this once. Don't call him Dad randomly in the future. Call him Uncle Lucas. By the way," I turned my head to look at Lucas. "How did you come?" Tina covered her phone watch. "Our Tina was bullied, I had to come support her." Lucas turned back and winked at her. The two laughed together, sweeping away the gloom from school. Looking out the window, Sophie was still saying something. Ethan ignored her. With a face full of impatience, he took the child and turned left out of the school gate. Lucas pursed his lips. "That's her?" I nodded. Back then, she was just our family's nanny. Yet she made Ethan divorce me without hesitation. At that time, I had just started at the school, and Ethan's company was just getting started. We even ate meals in a rush. The small diner at the entrance with few people became our dinner base. Sophie was the kitchen helper in the store back then. She often sat on a plastic stool at the door reading. After knowing I was a teacher, her eyes lit up. She told me she wanted to take the self-study university exam, hoping to have a diploma to stand firm in the city. At that time, I admired her resilience, until later I realized the ambition and recklessness beneath it. That day, Ethan and I walked to the small diner as usual. From afar, we saw the roller shutter down. Sophie was squatting on the stone steps at the door, her shoulders shaking as she cried. It turned out the boss had run away, she had nowhere to go and owed rent. She cried and begged me to introduce her to help in the school cafeteria. I was powerless, but pitied her young age and hardship. So I asked if she was willing to come to our home to cook. She happily hugged me. Sister Lena, I'll never forget your kindness. After returning home, Ethan frowned and said to me, I don't like having outsiders at home. I held his hand, the girl has it tough, just let her come cook. She'll leave after finishing, okay? He sighed lightly. He held my hand back. Up to you. The familiar neighbor aunt next door saw we had a young girl recently. She pulled me aside and whispered to be careful. I smiled and waved it off. My romance with Ethan spanned our entire youth. From childhood to adolescence until marriage. There were many girls chasing him. But he didn't even bother to glance. I knew him, once decided, he was single-minded. Sophie's daily dishes, with meat and vegetables paired, almost never repeated. She was very attentive. She remembered Ethan and my preferences. It had already exceeded her duties. The cup of hot tea delivered after meals gradually melted Ethan's cold face. His attitude towards Sophie softened a lot. I treated her even more like a sister. But when she said rent outside was too expensive and wanted to set up a camp bed in the storage room, I hesitated. After all, living in was somewhat inconvenient. Sophie forced a flattering smile. Sister Lena, I'll handle all the household chores. You and brother Ethan just focus on your careers. While hesitating, Ethan returned. He took the hot tea from Sophie. Living at home is fine too, I'm busy with work, you and Lena can look after each other. Sophie happily shook Ethan's hand. Thank you brother Ethan, I'll take good care of sister Lena. Sophie indeed, as she said. She didn't let me worry about household matters at all. The quilts were fluffy and soft with the scent of the sun. Even the cracks in the corners had no dust. Most importantly, she had a good sense of propriety. After finishing chores, she would return to her room to read. Quiet as if there was no such person at home. My concerns dissipated day by day. On Sophie's birthday, I dragged Ethan to buy her gifts and cake. We went home early to surprise her quietly. Opening the door. Seeing us, she looked panicked. Her face as red as the red strap dress she was wearing. That was the dress Ethan gave me during dating. I thought it too revealing and never wore it. Sister Lena, today while cleaning seasonal clothes, I saw this dress. Thought it looked good and tried it on. Sorry. Clearly speaking to me, her eyes were on Ethan. Tears in the corners, with a girl's unique charm. Ethan beside coughed lightly twice. I forgot something in the car, going down. A young girl loving beauty is understandable. Everyday Sophie in washed-out plaid shirts. I just didn't expect the simple her to like this style. The gift I picked for her in the afternoon was set aside. Ethan and I picked a dress for you. But it seems not your preferred style. She picked up the shopping bag, eyes full of flattery. Like it, anything sister gives I like. Ethan came back after a long time. But the unnatural blush on his face hadn't faded. I didn't take this small incident to heart. But later Sophie started wearing makeup. Occasionally going to the study to ask Ethan questions. Ethan, who always had aversion to stupidity, was exceptionally patient with her. Even models I wasn't allowed to touch, he dismantled to show her. The home atmosphere had subtle changes. Lucas beside asked, were they together at this time? I shook my head. Not long after, I fired her. The reason for firing her was, a peach. Sophie, did you receive 2 boxes of peaches today? Sophie, stir-frying, responded. Received, I put them in the fridge. I sighed in relief inwardly, good, in time. These were Okayama white peaches I specially asked friends to airship from Japan. The client Ethan was meeting tomorrow loved these. Opening the fridge, I found the box had been opened. Originally 6 peaches, now only 5. Sophie just turned with dishes. I looked into her eyes. Did you touch the peaches in the box? Her hand holding soup trembled suddenly. The porcelain bowl slipped, hot soup spilled everywhere. Ethan, hearing the sound, rushed over almost immediately. Passing me. He grabbed her wrist, tone full of concern. Did it burn? Did it cut? How so careless? He carefully blew on it for her. Quick, rinse with cold water. Half supporting, half carrying her to the bathroom. Didn't even look back at me. At my foot burned by hot soup. Sophie's voice trembled, intermittently from the bathroom. Brother Ethan, sorry. Today I cleaned inside out all day, busy forgot lunch. Later really hungry, saw peaches in fridge. Thought eating one should be fine. Really didn't expect. Sister Lena would care so much. I sneered inwardly, so many fruits at home. Yesterday I specifically told her these peaches were for a client. She still touched them. Ethan's voice coaxing. No problem, eat if you want. Coming out, seeing my face, it sank. Lena, just a peach, is it worth it? I said coldly, Ethan, these were specially prepared for your client visit. You know how many friends I asked to buy from Japan? His tone full of impatience, as if I was unreasonable. I'll handle the client myself, don't meddle. Peaches, Sophie can eat if she wants, as many as she wants. He paused. I'll take Sophie to the hospital for the burn. Ethan. I stepped forward, word by word. If you walk out that door now, don't come back. His steps paused, arrogance subdued mostly. Finally, stood in place. Didn't move further, nor turn back. Next morning early, I took leave from school. Stopped Ethan preparing for work. Turned to Sophie holding Ethan's briefcase. Sophie, you'll start school soon too. I took out a craft envelope. This money for you, enough for tuition and basic living. Sophie's face paled suddenly. Sister Lena, what do you mean? It means. I met her gaze. Home doesn't need help anymore. Sister Lena. Sophie stepped over. Yesterday was my fault. I was greedy and ate the peach. I made you angry. Please let me stay, my class is few, won't delay home chores. She got more agitated. At the end, knees softened. Sophie. Ethan beside finally spoke, stepped forward to pull her. But stopped by my gaze. I looked at her half-kneeling knees and sneered. Lena. Ethan's voice angry. How did you become like this? He turned to teary Sophie. Voice softened. You don't go anywhere, stay home. I felt anger rush from heart to head. Reacting, the teacup was slammed on table. Shattered fragments cut my hand bloody, unaware. Ethan, you've crossed the line. Married so many years, first time I slammed table at him. Silence spread in room. After a while, he spoke. Sophie, study well at school. Lucas more curious, parked car and turned to ask. So when did you divorce? I smiled, once naively thought firing her would return life to normal. But she had already deeply entered Ethan's heart. I looked at daughter beside wearing headphones listening to music. Lightly said, 3 years later. On the day I found I was pregnant. After dropping daughter at tutoring, we came to downstairs cafe. Lucas insisted on hearing the rest, brought 2 coffees. I slowly spoke. At that time, Ethan had succeeded in business, career stable. I wasn't as busy as when starting school. We both wanted a child. All checks done. No issues, but no pregnancy. 1 year, 2 years. Ethan smiled telling me to relax. But I knew for proper preparation, he turned down many socials he shouldn't. 7th day morning of late period. I looked at 3 pregnancy tests on table, neat 2 lines. Stroked Ethan's name on phone, didn't call. Until getting pregnancy report at hospital. I bought his favorite grapefruit cake. Decided to surprise him in person at company. Just entered elevator, two girls in work clothes carrying coffee came in. Tall girl looked around, lowered voice to companion, "Hey, heard? Even someone like Ethan. I really don't believe in love anymore." Ponytail girl with gossip excitement. "Which Ethan? How many Ethans in our company?" "The top floor one. Heard Ethan's wife is university teacher, how did he fall for that in turn?" "Yeah. Didn't even graduate proper university, relying on TSK, now follows Ethan in and out daily, who doesn't know what's up?" Elevator stopped at 19th floor. Two girls abruptly silent, exited. And I, trembling, pressed top floor button. Just reached Ethan's office door, his secretary Eric stopped me. "Sister Lena, Ethan is discussing business." I twisted the handle. "With whom? What business needs the door locked?" Eric awkwardly smiled. I didn't look at him again. Used all strength to kick open the heavy solid wood door. The scene inside suffocated me. On the desk was disheveled Sophie. Ethan stood beside her, chest heaving violently. Hearing the door, he turned sharply. Eyes meeting, his lust quickly replaced by fear. Adam's apple rolled wildly twice. "Lena, let me explain." He fumbled buttoning his shirt. Sophie cowered behind him. I looked at this place I had come countless times. Now so dirty and unbearable. "Explain what?" "How she came to your company. How she became your assistant. Or, how she climbed on your desk." I thought I'd cry, be hysterical. But speaking, voice calm like still water. I turned to the silver trash bin by the desk. Lifted hand and threw the grapefruit cake in. Ethan didn't notice the cake in my hand at all. He thought I was approaching Sophie. In a few steps to me. Arms open, protecting Sophie tightly behind. That posture suddenly seemed funny to me. "Ethan, rest assured. Trash, I disdain even a glance, let alone touch." I didn't look at them again, turned and left. Just entered home, legs suddenly lost all strength. Fell sitting on cold floor. Tears burst. That day I felt all organs numb. Time and space became void. Sky gradually darkened, then lightened. Ethan didn't return. This man I thought had only me in heart, completely absent. Until the divorce agreement I sent showed delivered. Door lock finally turned. His complexion good, expression no guilt. Only disturbed impatience. "Lena, no need to make it like this. As long as you don't divorce me, I'll never divorce you." Tone with charitable tolerance. I thought numb, but still stung by these words. From childhood, we were each other's only. All important life occasions had the other's participation. To sever, like flaying and cramping. I looked into his eyes. Break with Sophie. We start over. Ethan averted gaze. Silence spread in living room. "Lena, I don't want to lie." His voice hoarse. "I love you. But I love her too." Almost cruel honesty. I thought I'd cry, but tears long dry. Heart long numb. I printed another divorce agreement. "Sign it." Ethan thoroughly angered by my coldness. "Sophie wants no status, nothing, just to be with me." "And you?" "Lena, you have everything, what more?" I said coldly. I said clearly, I want you to sign. Men's mouths, indeed the most untrustworthy. Ethan said unwilling to divorce, but prepared everything. His strong legal team perfectly transferred joint assets. Lawyer leaving, left a sentence. Mr. Pay says, for couple's sake, willing to compensate extra $200,000. I didn't take that $200,000. How ridiculous. He should have left with nothing, but I was the one swept out. Lucas silently smoked, hoarsely said. "Lena, I'm different from Ethan." I nodded, of course I knew he was different. Lucas's gentleness clumsy. Respect given unobtrusively. After divorce, I thought of aborting the child. This little life coming at my most embarrassed time. Later became my only support to live. I had one thought, earn well and raise her well. Back then for Ethan's career I chose school. Meager salary. Not enough to support me and daughter. Parents not in great health stood up resolutely. Took on raising child. I couldn't bear telling divorce reason, just said incompatible. They had questions, but facing me chose respect. I quit school job, back to design industry. Interviewed company by company. Passed structural design awards like waste paper to them. Hearing no work experience, all shook heads. When hitting walls everywhere, Ethan messaged. Still telling you. She's pregnant, we marry next week. That year was my life low. Long no contact. Lucas called. Junior sister, my studio short on people lately. Want to help senior brother? Like Ethan, he opened studio after graduation. Now, has a place in the field. Where would he lack people? Just to care for my fragile pride. Following project stays busy and fulfilling. I squatted by scaffold revising drawings, Tina imitated beside with crayons drawing houses. After kindergarten, I let parents return hometown. Lucas started on the way picking Tina. I refused many times. He always had on the way reasons. Of course I knew he was different from Ethan. But facing his opened ring box, I still refused. Knowing doesn't mean easily believing. I long lost courage to gamble again. Unexpectedly met Ethan at school gate again. He stood under tree in suit. Incongruous with parents carrying baskets around. Seeing me, walked straight. Lena, dinner together tonight? I politely refused. But he persisted. No time today. Fine. I'll come every day after school, until you have time to eat with me. Commotion not big not small, enough to attract curious parent glances. He too smart, easily pinched my weakness. Okay, I'll send child back first. No need, I booked family restaurant. Ethan had driver take Max away, then brought me and Tina to a family restaurant. He obviously not adapted to environment, but eyes never left Tina. Tina. I turned to daughter, see slides and blocks there, go play okay? Until her small figure disappeared in play area. Ethan spoke. I went to your school looking for you, why quit? I sipped the lemon water. Of course for better development. His gaze swept my mud-stained sleeve. Non-committal smile. Better development, on construction site? I met his gaze. What you want to ask, say directly. Ethan didn't answer immediately, but stroked the children's utensils. After a while, slowly. Is Tina my daughter? My breath hitched. No. He laughed mockingly. I checked Lucas, still unmarried. Tina's 6 this year, we divorced 6 years. Tell me, if not mine, whose? I laughed out. Ethan, your imagination too rich. Mom, what are you chatting laughing so happily? Hungry Tina ran over. Ethan already gloved, peeled a shrimp for Tina. Voice with undeniable enthusiasm. Tina, try Uncle's peeled shrimp. Tina looked up at me, Mom. Can I eat? I looked at Ethan, his eyes probing and expectant. Tina doesn't like shrimp. Oh? He hooked corner of mouth interestedly. Allergic to seafood like me? I didn't answer, just looked at him quietly. Tina, Uncle peeled it, eat it. Don't waste Uncle's kindness. Ethan's gaze locked on her face, watching from chew to swallow. Probably no expected rash or discomfort. That confident face finally showed hard-to-hide disappointment. Tina has class, I'll take her first. I didn't want to stay a second more, pulled Tina's hand out. Lena. He suddenly called. My steps didn't stop, cold voice. Dinner eaten, hope you don't disturb my life anymore. Just out restaurant, wind blew. Tina suddenly cried. Mom, itchy, so itchy. Lifted her sleeve, large hives red glaring. I hugged her, dashed to nearest hospital. Actually Ethan guessed right, Tina allergic to seafood, like him. Just reaction not as fast. Just started 4 for Tina, heard familiar footsteps behind. How did you come? Lucas before me with fine sweat beads. Obviously ran all way. I called Uncle Lucas. Tina before Lucas spoke. Mom, you're so careless, forget my shrimp allergy, I'm worried. I clearly saw her wink at Lucas. Tina right. Without Lucas, she wouldn't live now. That time I pulled all-nighters revising drawings, didn't notice Tina on camp bed. Lucas coming for report discovered Tina purple-faced from allergy. He hugged Tina, rushed to hospital, saved her life. I came to, saw Lucas gently applying medicine to Tina. Ethan gambled Tina's safety, just to confirm his assumed blood tie. While Lucas silently guarded me and child's whole world. I hoarsely asked, ring still there? That ring circling between me and Lucas for years. The man before paused, nodded forcefully. Yes. Always. Moment ring touched skin. I knew, my life welcomed second light besides Tina. Ethan indeed kept word. After that dinner, didn't disturb us again. But Sophie came. I squatted on side eating box lunch, pair shiny high heels appeared. Sister Lena, TSK, how did you end up like this? Sophie before me, makeup exquisite, incongruous with surroundings. Words with arrogant disdain. Completely forgot her past place worse than here. No mind for nonsense. Patted dust off, turned to return to prefab. Stop. She grabbed my hand. Tone with kindness. I'm here to help. She took bank card from designer bag, money here, more than 10 times what you gave me back then. Take this for your daughter to transfer school. Don't appear before Ethan again. I looked at woman before, exquisite makeup couldn't hide panic and fatigue in eyes. Once she thought winner. Naturally anxious one day become loser. Days of constant fear hard. Sophie, not everyone like you. I shook off her hand, walked away. My coldness angered her. She grabbed my collar. Lena, don't be shameless. School we invested. Don't let your ridiculous pride ruin your daughter's life. Sophie, who gave you the right? Low voice struck, with undeniable authority. Hand on collar released instantly. I turned stunned, Ethan stood between us. Like before. But this time protecting me behind. Sophie panicked over pulling Ethan's sleeve. Ethan, listen, she first. Ethan disgustedly arm, didn't glance. Turned to me, sorry, troubled you. Indeed annoying. My tone flat. Workers' lunch resting, trouble you take her leave quickly. Don T here. Ethan Adams' apple rolled, finally nodded. Okay. Sophie slung away staggered steps, again pulled him. Ethan, she provoked first. Sophie. Ethan didn't turn, didn't raise volume. This position you don't want, can give up any time. Sophie just aggressive. Eyes madness and unwillingness instantly replaced by fear. This man gave her all she wanted, naturally can easily take back. Sophie hesitated seconds, head down followed. Probably Ethan's warning to Sophie worked. For a long time after, occasionally met picking kids at school. No more tension. We tacitly treated each other as air. Combing Tina's braids, she suddenly wrinkled face complaining. Said Max lately loved pulling her braids. Not hard, but annoying. I thought of communicating with teacher tomorrow. But. Tina proudly said, today I couldn't bear, beat him up, finally quiet. He made up a super funny reason. What reason? Tina holding laugh imitated Max's tone. He said his dad told him to pull my braids. Mom, which adult's so boring? My breath hitched. Tina wrong, Ethan could do it. Not just smart, but suspicious. I should have thought he not so easily fooled. Next day just reached site gate, familiar figure already under tree. Tall figure but with indescribable loneliness. Chat? What should come, came. Cafe coffee steam misty. He pushed paternity test to me. Why lie? I sipped coffee, lightly. Because, you don't deserve. Lena. His tone pleading. Give me chance to make up, okay? I know wrong, missed her 6 years, don't want to miss more. I gently interrupted. Make up what? Make up your absent fatherly love? He nodded eagerly, yes. I can give her best life, best education, I can. No need. I interrupted again. In Tina's world, fatherly love never absent. On way to and from school, in feverish midnights, when almost suffocated from allergy. Long had one person, gave her endless fatherly love. He grabbed my hand, eyes with vulnerability I never saw. Bring Tina back, okay? We start over. I stroked left ring finger's fine light halo. Ethan, you know me. I'm never one to look back. From your affair moment, we were on 2 paths. I paused, recalled Tina's aggrieved face. Also, Mac's innocent. Don't make him your probing tool. Ethan breath hitched, only then remembered the son he used as tool. He stubbornly muttered. My fault, all my fault. I shouldn't come without fully ending with Sophie. Give me some time, wait. Didn't wait for me to speak. Grabbed coat, disappeared in crowd outside cafe. Received Tina's call, I still overtime at site. She said Max transferred. Class many clapped happy. Told me don't forget strawberry cake back. I smiled, told her homework well. Rushed before dessert shop closed, bought last 3 strawberry cakes. Few people on road. Seeing home warm yellow light, quickened steps. Bang. Suddenly brute force slammed me hard to ground. Strawberry cake scattered. Before getting up, a figure straddled me. With strong perfume and alcohol. Lena, you vicious woman. Paternity test. You instigated Ethan, right? How you know Mac's not his son? My mind buzzed. So Ethan did 2 paternity tests. So that day he didn't forget he had a son. But knew it wasn't his son at all. Sophie face close, makeup smeared like ghost. Even if he divorces me, I won't let you back to him. Madwoman strength astonishing. I used all force arched knee, hard hit her abdomen. Got up to run, found ankle sprained when pushed down. Sophie charged again. Hand gripping shiny fruit knife. Lena, if I'm bad, you don't live. I looked at upstairs warm yellow light. Tina and Lucas still home waiting. Happiness so close, just a bit. I closed eyes despairingly. But knife didn't fall. Ethan blocked it. Blood surged from his back. He clamped Mad Sophie tightly. Shouted at me. Go quick. Saw Ethan again, he sat leaning on hospital bed. Face pale, much haggard. Sophie stabbed deep. Luckily, no vital. Tina held small sunflowers bunch on bedside table by Ethan. Uncle Ethan, thank you protect my mom. Ethan touched her head, eyes red-rimmed. He softly to Tina, you're welcome, what I should do. Outside living room many goodies, Tina go eat okay? Ethan ward sweet outer living room piled with visitor gifts. Dad accompany me okay? Tina pulled Lucas' hem. Lucas helpless yet doting held her. Gaze on me. I saying no problem? I nodded. Door gently closed, isolated outside sounds. Large ward only me and Ethan. Air filled with awkward silence. Long after, Ethan took out equity transfer document. This what I owe you. I didn't touch the file, just looked at him quietly. Ethan's voice with almost humble plea. I don't expect you bring daughter back. Just, can I see Tina occasionally? I looked at his cautious expectation in eyes. Gently shook head. Ethan, you saved me, I thank you. But root cause. Comma's telling other story. Sophie going mad, doing that. Initial cause, you planted. Ethan lips moved, wanted to say. But finally just dejectedly lowered head. Tina now very happy. Has Lucas. I gazed firmly at him. I don't want past-related people or things disturb her peaceful life. Out of ward, noon sun warmly sprinkled all over. Tina spotted nearby Ferris wheel. Vigorously winked at Lucas. Lucas amused by her actions. Turned to me, voice gentle probing. Nearby new amusement park, how about? I held Tina's small hand, linked Lucas's arm. Smile with unprecedented ease. Today dad mom accompany you play enough, we play till dark then home.